Hi, welcome everyone. At the beginning of this month, a rare white lion cub was found. They named her Leas. She was found in a car crash by accident. FOUR PAWS had offered to take care of the animal in a sanctuary, but the animal, the little cub, is still going to a private home in Spain, which is not normal. We're going to talk to Ioana Dungler. She's the director of the Wild Animals Department at FOUR PAWS. Welcome, Ioana. First of all, where is Leas now?
Hello, and thank you for having me today. I'm really glad that you have interest on this story. Yeah, Leas is still in Germany, in a private custody, and yeah, well, it's not very common that when you have a car accident, you have surprise that it's a lion cub in the car as a passenger, which is anyway completely wrong from all perspectives. And I would just like to elaborate a bit more on that, because this car accident shows how many things just by accident are presented to the public. We know that Leas is just one of those. Nobody knows what happens on the European roads, which are now open borders, and only because it was this accident she was found. Nevertheless, we've been alerted by the authorities, because FOUR PAWS is running since more than a year a campaign about wildlife trade with the focus on big cats. And unfortunately, Leas is just confirming that this practice is still taking place, and it's not just an isolated case, or not just something that we discovered while we are doing our investigations. So it's happening on a regular basis.
And what are the rules about this in Europe? Wild animal breeding?
Well, that's a very big problem, because we do not really have rules. Although many countries, like for example Germany, is perceived as a very, so to say, civilized, and everything should go run and smooth and by the books. Still, when it comes to wildlife trade, Europe is a big mess, and Germany is, this became clear to us while we were doing our investigations, that Germany is one of the leading countries when it comes to trade of wildlife. We focus on big cats, and again, Leas is just one of the little tops, of the iceberg.
And are they also bred in Germany? They also come from Germany, these cubs?
So in case of Leas, she's coming from East Europe, but yes, there are also breeders in Germany. Most of the business, so to say, is connected with the circuses, especially with the traveling circuses, because they are very difficult to be tracked, and they are very difficult to, most of the times the animals are moving from a circus to another, from a family to another. So it's quite difficult to make sure that it's the same animal that you've been seeing a month ago in another country. They are breeding also in Germany. They are private keeping in Germany. So in fact, it's very easy. You can go on different internet platforms, and you can just order whatever type of big cat you want. And what is really shocking in the case of Leas is that at the end of the day, the German authorities decided that all the papers are quite okay. There were some minor little things that had to be changed. So all the people involved in this trade just got very small penalties. So, but it's nothing. It's not a penal case. Leas is not going to be confiscated. She's going to continue her travel to Spain as initially planned, despite all the evidences that were brought by us that this transport or this practice is not animal welfare, and it's not should not be encouraged by any form of authorities and trade. It is really cruel, and if you think of Leas, she was taken far too young from the mother, so the impact on her health is going to be on a long term. So as long as she will live, she will be traumatized also, because emotionally, of course, like us, they have emotions, and they need to be with their mother. And Leas missed a chance to learn from her mother how to be a lioness. And this cannot be replaced by humans. And of course, this is the emotional and the psychological part of the animal, which is very difficult to be repaired. And should not be necessary to be repaired because she should not be in this situation.
True.
And second, are the physical issues. Yeah, these animals are not getting the proper milk, the proper nutrition from their mother. So the impact on their health on the long run is really very severe. And what we saw in many cases that, of course, it's very expensive to treat a lion that gets suddenly, I don't know, at 2 years old or 3 years old, gets arthrosis and gets heart problems and skin problems. These animals are ended by being completely neglected and dying in misery because nobody spends thousands of euros for a veterinarian to fix something that should not have been to be fixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And how old was Leah? She was only a few weeks when they found her.
Yes. Yeah.
And
so she was really a really little tiny baby without any.
Yeah, without her mom. And what will happen to her now? What does her future look like? You already at the beginning you said something about it, but what is the status now of her?
Well, unfortunately, the status is that, as I mentioned already earlier, the German authorities decided that there's nothing wrong with this transfer, which I find it really shocking. And she will continue her journey as it was planned. We do not know yet the date when this will happen, and of course, we can estimate that the authorities do not make the date very public because they don't want, there are so many people concerned about Leah, and there are so many people upset and frustrated that we couldn't rescue her. So she will continue her journey. She's a white lioness, as you know, which are more appreciated for this kind of collections. So if what I can assume, but again, it's really an assumption. What I can assume is that if she will make it to be an adult lioness, she will then be used for reproducing and for, she will be a cub machine for others that want to have something like her at home.
So just to really understand it, so the German government basically says you offer Leah, it's a baby still, right? It's still a baby, and they think it's okay to just send her for hours and hours and hours on the road to a private owner. They think that's healthy for a baby, and you offer there's an alternative, because sometimes there is no alternative in some cases, but you offer a great alternative for her. You say, okay, she's already been through a car accident, she's already taken away from her mom, we give her a beautiful home, we try to give her still a beautiful life because she's already traumatized from being taken away from her mom, and still the government says, no, we're giving this animal back to
the trade.
Yeah, to the trade. Yeah, you have a chance to rescue this one because you figure out that this one is there, and like you said, it's the tip of an iceberg. There's so many others, but at least you found this one and you can help this one, and the government just gives her back to the trade. Yeah.
Well, the very sad part is that all these regulations and all this also how the European Union legislation is working has nothing to do about welfare. It's all about procedure and processes and documents. If the documents are right, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the bases are wrong.
So frustrating. But what can people? So Leah is still in Germany. Can something still be done to keep her there? Can something still be done? Should it be public outrage? Can something still be done for her?
Well, it's very difficult to do something at a rational and constructive base when by law things are right.
Yeah.
This is a trap. Yeah, we could do whatever we tried whatever because we were hoping that there will be a little tiny chance that there's something wrong with the papers and that the authorities will hear the bell. That's trade. That's nothing to do with welfare. That's nothing to do with moving an animal anyway at completely inappropriate age. To move it across countries or even in the same country, doesn't matter. It's about the principle. But now with the resolution that we have from the last weekend, that all the papers are right, it's you just then talk at emotional level, and this doesn't work when you talk with authorities.
Yeah, So what needs to be, so like what I hear from you also, you've already mentioned this before, but there needs to come laws for this then, because you already said like with wild animal breeding there, it's not really regulated strictly. So that needs to happen for this to change.
Yeah, we are working on that, and it's not only us, but we do have a campaign on that. We focus on trade. We started from the tigers trade because this is really big in Europe, and it has absolutely crazy connections with Asia, and it's really absolutely. I don't know if you had the chance to follow our ruthless trade campaign, which, as I said, is focusing on tigers. It's really crazy that they are bred in Germany or in Czech Republic, and then they are transported either alive or pieces in Vietnam. And you can order whatever you want, either the whole animal alive, or you can order the skin, the claws, the teeth, the eyes, the name it. It's absolutely sick. And it's when we started this campaign 1.5 years ago, we thought that this is an Asian issue, and we thought, okay, things are going out there in a strange way, and we should try to fix it there. But while we were doing the investigations and while we were doing the preparation for the campaign, we figured out that in fact it happens here in Europe. It's behind our, it's in our doorstep. It's and when I remember my reaction, being European and thinking that, okay, we are a little bit more aware of animal welfare, and we have a bit more empathy because of the history, of whatever reason maybe behind. But I really couldn't believe that the biggest breeders in all this big trade are in Europe. And in countries like Czech Republic and Germany.
It's such a sad trait. And I'm also, while we were talking, like I'm really thinking that, to come back to Leah, that there are so many more animals, but to think that she must be so scared. And that's like, I think people should make the connection more between people and humans and animals, that we're all the same. We have emotions, we are scared, and she's just a baby, and she's now somewhere in a crate, and or in a clinic, but she's gonna be put in a crate and put to strangers, and no mom, no the same kind of animals around her, nothing. And people forget, I think, how scared an animal is in such a moment.
Yeah, I'm really very grateful that you mentioned this in this way, because sometimes when an animal welfare person talks about the comparison between people or kids and how babies from animals or animals can suffer, sometimes people get offended because we should not compare ourselves with animals. But I think it's a very good point that you made, because they have a soul, they have fears. They need to learn what they have to be, because they depends on the species. They need, for example, an orangutan needs 8 to 9 years to stay with the mom, to know how to nest and to know what to eat. So it's like a child that needs to learn how to write and read and walk and everything. So of course, maybe it could be sometimes easier with humans, because we speak we are the same species, and we can talk. And we can explain, okay, you don't see your mom today because that and that. Still, we know how difficult it is for kids that love their parents. But with an animal, how you communicate? Who can explain to Leah that she has to face everything alone?
Exactly.
We didn't discover how to communicate this with animals.
Exactly.
And we just drop them in these situations, and then they have to manage.